Four words, one explosive game. The North London Derby. This weekend, Arsenal are back at the Emirates as they go up against Spurs. We're going to look at the game, the potential lineup, given our injury situation, the opposition, and what we will think will happen in this game. Then it's time to make our predictions for the North London Derby and the other games in the Premiership as we play the predictor game. I'm fired up for this one. I know you are. So let's get going on episode 29 of Red Lines and Half Spaces. Welcome to episode 29 of Red Lines Half Spaces. There's only three letters, one match. North London Derby. NLD time, people. It's the big one where Arsenal play Tottenham this weekend at the Emirates. Woof. But here's another big one that we need to introduce, and that's my co-host, Joseph, back after a while. How are you, Joseph?
I am back. It's been a long time. Obviously, again, thanks to Rohan for filling in for us for the last episode, which was brilliant, by the way. Really, really good episode. So shout out Rohan, that was fantastic. But yeah, the house move is completed, mate. We are in the new gaff. So I do apologise because I haven't set up the internet yet. It's all very disorganised. As anyone who's moved house will know, I'm living in boxes. I'm living in chaos, but we're in. So yeah,
Joe has told me. Joe has told me that he's got an epic setup ready to go. He's just getting everything together, and by the next time we record, he will have this setup ready. So I'm holding him to that. I'm expecting lights, neon lights, all of this kind of stuff.
I'm not sure I said it was an epic setup. I think I may have been misrepresented there, but no.
No. I heard epic setup. That's all I heard. So I will hear that. But yeah, no, glad you're back, Joe. We did miss you, obviously, on the last podcast. Thank you. Joseph, just let's quickly touch upon, before we get to North London Derby, which we're going to cover extensively in this episode. Last time Sunderland, we talked about it with Rohan, but coming out of that into the international break, how are you feeling just before this game? Because the last game was, as Rohan put it, a loose ball game. It wasn't a game that we thought we would draw. But when we got into the game, obviously by the end of the first half, we thought, God, we're not going to get anything. By the end of the second half, we thought we're going to nick this one. By the end of 90 minutes, it was 2-2 and we were annoyed, I think is the word, because it was last minute. As Rohan said, if it had happened in the 76th minute, I think we would have been a lot more understanding and forgiving about this one. But it happened right at the last minute. How are you feeling at the moment? Obviously before the NLD, and we'll talk about the NLD in a second, but how are you feeling right now after that game?
My immediate reaction, I think, like everyone, was frustration because, like you said, if it happened 10 minutes before the end, you make peace with it. Because I don't think the first half we were poor. We were very poor, I think. And so I think upon reflection, if it had finished 2-2 in a different way, I think you would have been like, yeah, do you know what, it's probably a fair result. But I think when you're that close to 3 points, you're literally 10 seconds away from getting 3 points. It's just a real kick in the sensitive areas. So yeah, really frustrated, mate. But I think the international break came at a good time for us. I was just getting the sense that we were not looking leggy, but it just seemed like we was running out of steam a little bit to me.
3 away games will do that, won't they?
Yeah, I think it arguably became a good time because obviously it gives us time now to hopefully get some players back, which obviously we'll touch on shortly, I'm sure, with Arteta's conference that happened today. But no, it was ultimately the game itself was frustrating, but I tried to take kind of the bigger view, if you like, and think, okay, so we're through all the international nonsense now. That's all out the way. Where do we stand? And we're top of the league. So we knew that was going to be a difficult week. Ideally, it would have been 3 wins from 3, but given it was 3 away trips, like I said, the bigger picture is we're top of the league. There's a small gap there. And at the start of the season, if that was on offer, there isn't a single fan who would have turned down the gaps, the point gap, where we are in league and all that after the game on the Saturday evening against Sunderland. So yeah, bigger picture. Like I said in a few podcasts ago, let's try not to be too over emotional regarding results, because I think that's something that's arguably cost us points before, or sort of cost us momentum, if you like. We as fans and kind of media driven sensationalize every result. So I think if we can just, like I said, keep a fairly stable view, take a step back, look at results in the bigger context, we're flying along, mate. We just got had a little break. Now we go again. Next set of fixtures, let's start ticking off some wins.
And what a big set of fixtures coming. We're going to discuss all of those at the end of the show. But Joe, I mean, as you said, we are top of the league and we've done well. I think my concern here is that, as you said, we looked weary at the end of those 3 games, especially against Sunderland. The first half, we looked really weary. I was really pleased with the second half, how we came back. It's just, it's, as you said, deeply frustrating how we considered that final goal. But in the fullness of it, I think the Stadium Light is going to be a very tough place to go to for a lot of teams. I think Sunderland actually are probably the most likely, I would say, to stay up, given the quality they have, and as well, just the Stadium Light is so difficult. It just felt such a cauldron watching it on television. And obviously, television doesn't give you everything, but it just felt very, very hostile, very difficult place to go, which bodes well for Sunderland. I think they will do well. I think they've had some very good results, and the result against us certainly is that. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's a point in hindsight is not a bad result, not the ideal result, but not a bad result. Joe, let's get to it. The North London derby this weekend. What a way to come back from the international malaise, as I like to call it, of the lack of true proper football. How are you feeling going before the NLD? How do you feel before NLD weekend? Because it is a bit of a, I wouldn't say weird weekend. I get G'd up for the NLD, especially when it's at the Emirates, and obviously we're both going to it. And I'm going to talk about my plan for it. So we're going to go through this at the end of the show. But NLD, how are you feeling, Joe? And how do you build yourself up to it when you know that the NLD is coming?
This fixture, unlike any other, you go through all the emotions throughout sort of the build up to it. In no other game we play do you kind of have the emotional roller coaster in the build up, because one day I think we're going to smash them. The Tottenham are rubbish. We're going to absolutely obliterate them. But then the following morning, I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, but it's Tottenham. This could be a bit of banana skin. And then you start thinking, oh, we could lose the game. And then it's just so, and it's literally like that right up until kickoff. And then once the game starts, it's just that kind of nervous energy, because every time they come forward, just like, oh, and in any other game, you'd be like,
yeah, you don't enjoy the game. You don't enjoy the game, do you, actually?
You don't enjoy the North London derby. It's just impossible. Until the final whistle goes and you've got 3 points, it's not an enjoyable fixture.
That's what we go for, isn't it? Do you think, Joe, just let's play the very masochistic card here, that we go, as fans, we go to get that high at the end of the match when we hopefully win, isn't it? It's not the game itself, as we just said, because it's a heart attack waiting to happen in that game. You're on edge permanently, aren't you, through the game?
Yeah, it's different even to games against City and Liverpool, because you think, big game, I'm up for this. We can win it, and that's kind of the attitude going into it. But Tottenham, it's just, you're all over the place. Like, I think it's a good thing that this has come after the international break, because I feel like there's not been the big build up to it. I think if this had followed on from like a previous Premier League game, I think the build up would have been all week and it'd have been torture. But it's kind of, I mean, it's Friday already, so it's kind of snuck up on us. And obviously the press conference is being done today. That's when the build up starts. Like Sky have started putting out all the old goals and classic moments and that sort of stuff. And you start going into it. And the annoying thing is that we've got to wait till late on Sunday for this game. And that is a long time.
And it's the last game. And it's the last game. It's the last game. And I don't, you and I have talked about this before. It's not the most ideal scenario, is it? Because obviously our rivals rivals is a very loose word to put at the start of this season, where we're still, 10 games in.
Let's say fellow contenders.
Yes, fellow contenders and the noted top 3 from last season. But they obviously Liverpool play Forest at home. You'd expect them to win, and we're going to go through our predictors, but you'd expect to win there, wouldn't you? Even though Liverpool are not in the greatest of form, it's Forest are not in the greatest of form either, so you'd expect to win there. And then, but the tasty one is obviously Newcastle versus City. Obviously, that's a big contest. You know, Newcastle are not. I think their league position belies the team that they are. They're a good team, especially at St James's Park. I think that's more of a challenge, but it's annoying, isn't it? Because you'll know where you are. You could either be City could be 1 point behind us potentially by the end before the start of our game, and that puts pressure onto us, doesn't it? Obviously,
Yeah, of
so
course.
that's slightly. It's annoying being the last game of the week. I prefer to be the first one. You win your game, and then you enjoy the rest of it. But we
Yeah.
can't really, can we?
No, there's less pressure, isn't there? If we was to, don't get me wrong, there's always pressure in North London derby, but if you used to play first, it just makes such a big difference because you go out there and set the tone for the weekend. There's no sort of pressure on you. But Liverpool, the only the good thing for us, I think, is that Spurs have a lot of international players in their team. I think sometimes when you come back from these international breaks and you play kind of the smaller teams who haven't had sort of, because realistically, 75% of the Arsenal squad, Tottenham, City, Liverpool, United, them squads, they're all going, and 75% of the squad are gone. I think if you play sort of the smaller teams, and this is the only thing that might go against Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, it'd be interesting to see how many players went off during the international break, or whether that team and squad has been together for the sort of the 2 weeks it's been. And that could be their sticking point. Because obviously Liverpool would have had an entire squad away, and they're all coming back after the international fixtures. Forest might have just had sort of training sessions and been that kind of cohesive unit all the way up until this fixture. So that could work against Liverpool. I don't think it will. I think being at home, I'd expect Liverpool to kind of not run riot, but I think they should win that fairly comfortably. But that's one of the takeaways from the Tottenham game, is that both teams should be in a similar position when it comes to kind of like fatigue, teams not sort of training properly up until maybe the Tuesday or Wednesday once everyone's back, seeing what condition everyone's in. Obviously, we've had an injury added to our list during the international break, which is very unfortunate.
And we're going to talk about injuries in a minute because it's such a big topic.
Yes, as per
Um,
usual with the Arsenal.
yeah. So, Joe, why don't we start talking about the match itself? So, at the Emirates, Sunday 4:30 kickoff. Tottenham come into this with a bit of a mixed bag in terms of their overall results, but they're very good away, aren't they? We have to acknowledge Thomas Frank has definitely, shored them up in terms of defensively. I think there's concerns about how they go forward, and they're lying in fifth, but they've had a few concerning results, I would say. So if we look at them, they've had, obviously Newcastle beating them in the Carabao Cup, but they lost to Chelsea recently at the Tottenham Stadium. And then Man United 2-2 at their own ground. So at home, I think there's concerns. Away, they're unbeaten at the moment. So they've had, let's have a look. Where are they? So they've beat Man City quite fairly, 2-0 at the Etihad. Beat beat West Ham at the London Stadium 3-0. Drew with Brighton. I think Brighton should have won that game, watching it in all honesty. Drew, the one that I was a bit shocked by was Tottenham Wolves at home, actually. That's a home result, but obviously Wolves looked the better side, actually. They beat Leeds 2-1, and I thought Leeds actually looked a better team. And then they beat Everton 3-0 at the new stadium. But Joe, where are Tottenham at the moment, do you think? Where do you think they are in terms of whether you think they'll finish? Do you think they'll finish Champions League, or do you think it's just that home form is a bit of a concern if you were a Spurs fan, which God forbid you would want to be?
Yeah, I think that Spurs are kind of in a similar position as to when Arteta took over Arsenal. So I think Thomas Frank, he's obviously spoken quite highly of Arteta and how much he kind of sees the benefit of what Arsenal have done, given the manager time. They've let him do his thing, and how he's built the team. And I think Thomas Frank could potentially go a similar route in. I think he'll concentrate on defence first. I think we saw the kind of team we had and where our frailties lie. But I think Frank might go down a similar route and make Spurs quite strong defensively, before he then tries to kind of start adding in the attacking players, which is obviously what Arteta done. Um, I the thing that worries me about Spurs is that they will play in the way on Sunday that we hate playing against, and that is, I think they'll sit very deep and look to counter attack us, and I think that's where teams have more success against us is when they kind of play deep and then hit us on the break. Because Spurs have got pace in the sort of attacking areas. They've got some good players. I mean, as much as we love to take the Mickey out of Spurs and sort of enjoy a bit of banter at their expense, they've got some good players. They've got some good players. They've got a good manager. Um, I'm, yeah, my only concern is that they will play in the sort of what is our Achilles heel, if you like, in that kind of that low block. They may even go five at the back with Van der Ven, Romero. Obviously, both good players. I think Udogie is back from injury now. He's a very good player, very quick again. So they'll have pace in transition, which is where I think we could.
But do you?
Sorry, I'm gone.
Yeah, here's a question for you, Joe. The noise is that obviously Tottenham fans are not particularly happy with the style of play. Tottenham fans have always been they have to play the Spurs way, which is obviously attacking football, pleasing to the eye. How long do you think Thomas Frank has got? Because Arteta had 2 seasons where he was 8th place, and obviously he had a trophy to back that up, with the FA Cup. So that bought him a little bit more time, but I think people could see that he's an elite coach who can do these things. Will Thomas Frank get the same time, do you think,
He could well
with
do
Spurs?
because Daniel Levy's not there anymore, is he?
Mm,
And obviously, I'd
you
say
know,
Daniel
isn't it?
Levy's been the one constant at Spurs, which has potentially. Obviously, we don't know kind of like what goes on at Spurs. So like, you need to speak to a Spurs fan, but obviously, the few Spurs mates that I do have all kind of said that he's been almost like the one that's held them back for all the things he's done really well at that club in terms of managers on the field kind of stuff. They feel like Daniel Levy's the one who stopped them progressing. So new ownership there, they could potentially look at it and go, do you know what? We'll give Thomas Frank some time. Um, so yeah, teams that kind of look at the Arsenal model, if you like, and that give the manager time, see how he gets on. I think that could be a theme you kind of see coming back because the chopping and changing clearly doesn't work. And I think you're kind of seeing Man United. They was under huge pressure to get rid of Amorim, and I think that pressure will still be there if they lose a couple of games. But you've seen just recently, they've got a few good results. Scandalously got manager of the month, even though Arteta won every game and didn't concede a goal, by the way. But that's a whole other matter. But he's been given they've given him time, and he started to get a few results. So it all kinds of leans into give managers time, and they could do something. So like I said, I think Levy not being there, you could see Tottenham change. If he was still there, I think they'd very much be of the sort of the usual Spurs, but if he hadn't done something by the end of the season, he'd probably be out of the job.
So we'll wait to see how that progresses if he actually does make it to the end of the season, given if he plays this kind of defensive style. So, Joe, let's talk injuries. Unfortunately, there have been a number of injuries for Arsenal. We already know that Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard, who else we got out? Gabriel Jesus, um, Gabriel Martinelli. A number of pretty much most of the attack is out at the moment. There is some talk that Martin Odegaard and possibly Noni Madueke might be back for this, but I think in today's press conference, Mikel Arteta was playing the cards very close to the chest. Is this a big concern going into the North London derby? Because we'll only have really, on the face of it at the moment, Trossard and Saka, and then obviously Mikel Merino, you would assume, will be going up front. That, to me, against Sunderland, didn't work very well. I thought Sunderland, it was too easy for Sunderland to manage. And I think if Spurs are playing a 3 at the back, is this looking like a very, poor showing in the attack again from those 3 players? Trossard and Saka I have no doubts of. I think Mikel Merino is still a concern against a 3-man defense because he tends to drop deep, and it's too easy for 3 men to operate in that way. So how do you feel about the current situation? The injuries are, quite notable. And also as well, we've now had the news, unfortunately, that Gabriel Magalhaes is now out for weeks, as Arteta has put it, through a silly friendly that he didn't need to play. And we've now learned that he was in the red zone already and he didn't really need to play this, but he was played anyway. And subsequently, he's now out for a considerable period. So again, a couple of questions for you, though, just to mull on that attack. But also, are we too lenient in releasing players to the international teams and saying, that's fine, you can do that? Because we seem to get a lot of injuries through, the through international breaks and all these kind of things. As well as that, another one I forgot, Ricardo Calafiori is still doubtful because he pulled out of the Italy squad and apparently Arteta said that he may not make it. So how are you feeling with those injuries and then that attack for the NLD potentially?
So in terms of, let's go Calafiori and Gabriel first. Frustrated, obviously, with the club for allowing him to go if that was the case. But equally frustrated with Gabriel because I know it's a World Cup year, but you know in yourself, you know your body, don't you? If he is aware that he's got a little knock or something, why on earth are you making yourself available for that game? That's what I don't understand for me. I mean, the club can go and say you're not going, which could cause issues, obviously, between the player and the club and the country. So I kind of appreciate why they don't do that. But then I think there needs to be a bit of common sense from the players as well. And obviously, a lot of them have kind of mentioned now how much extra football they're playing. And I think if you know that's the case, then you need to take a bit of personal responsibility and not put yourself in that situation where you know it's only a friendly. You know what you're playing for in the club season. You know what sort of run Arsenal are on coming up. We've got 3 massive games after the international break. You're only playing in a friendly. It's all just very silly from Gabriel for me. Like I said, the club can take some fault as well, but I think in this instance we have to kind of, as much as we love him, you have to kind of say to Gabriel, "What are you playing at?" as well, because ultimately it's his silly decision really that's got him into this position in the first place. The Calafiori one, a bit of a weird one, isn't it? He went and they've kind of said that he shouldn't have been there anyway. Then he's come back, and
Yeah,
it's a bit
apparently he's on the red zone as well. He's loaded
yeah,
as well. He's got a few
it's a bit
niggles as well.
unclear about what his actual injury is or what he's struggling with or whatever that may be. Um, so yeah, it's just it's always hard with Arteta in these press conferences. He never gives us anything, does he? You're always whatever he says, he's proven in the past that could be completely wrong, and he uses these press conferences as a bit of a sort of bit of game of chess, if you like, and maybe sort of double bluffs and all this sort of stuff. So it's very difficult for us as fans to kind of comment on the injuries because we don't really know. Um, in terms of the attacking stuff, hopefully there'll be some players back. Um, I think I heard that Jokeres could be available. I think there's some pictures of him training. Um, like you said, I think Odegaard, there's a lot of talk about he might be on the bench, Madueke potentially. If these players are all on the bench, that's not a bad thing because you could say, okay, Arsenal do our solid thing that we do, to just be sensible, and then you've got all these players to come on, which is a massive thing at the end of a game. So for me, I think the most important one for me, like for us, is to get Jokeres back because I think the Spurs defence we've seen are very mobile. Udogi, Van der Ven, Romero, they're all very quick players, very mobile, can cover ground very quickly. Um, that is probably one of the things Marino isn't very good at. He likes to drop very deep, and I think those defenders they need to be occupied by someone because if he's dropping deep, they're going to be able to push higher and higher. And realistically, we're not going to have the pace to kind of get in behind with the starting lineup that we're looking at currently with the injuries. Um, Saka's quick, don't get me wrong, but is he going to get in behind and run away from that defence? I don't think he will. There might be kind of an even pace match. Um, but I think we need Jokeres because he will occupy the 2 centre backs. He'll make those runs that will make them think. He opens up space in the middle of the pitch for the other players. So I think his inclusion is really important because if Marino plays and drops deep like we've seen him do quite regularly, I think that could cause us some issues and he'll get very cramped in that sort of that middle part of the pitch, and ultimately then that will affect what Eze can do. It'll affect what Zubamendi can do. We need to give them players space because that's where the danger is going to come from on the Sunday for us.
Do you think he could do something different? Do you think he may play, like, for example, is it too big a game for Ethan Nwaneri to start in the middle where, we'd expect Eze to start and put Eze to the left, Trossard up front to give us something different? Because Marino, to me, just feels like I don't trust him to hold the ball well enough. I think he's good attacking but crashing the box, but the rest of it I don't I just think he's quite average at. Whereas Trossard for me is a bit more of a clever player, will make the clever runs, and you could see Eze from the left, Ethan Nwaneri at least offering us some impetus into the attack. My gut feeling is it won't be that, but I'm just speculating on what we could do in the absence of a Victor Gyökeres. What do you think, Joe?
No, I think, like you said, mate, I think that team, we know what the team will be. I think we've got a good idea of what that front three will look like. The only argument I would make is that Trossard is having a brilliant season from the left-hand side.
Mm.
So do we want to, I know we're missing Gyökeres, but do we want to ultimately sacrifice two positions just to try and make one better? For me, I think you go
Yeah,
with Marino because Trossard's been brilliant off the left. Even in sort of the quieter games he's popped up with a goal, he's popped up with an assist. If I remember correctly, he was brilliant in this fixture last year. Um, Obviously,
yeah.
scored the goal. He had Porro's a very quick player, but Trossard proved that you don't need pace in kind of these one-on-one. If you've got a quick turn, sort of a bit of smart movement, you can do some damage. So for me personally, I would prefer to see Trossard left on the left and Saka on the right, just because I think they've been, in the recent weeks, two of our better players. And I'd like to see them continue in the vein of form that they're in. And I think by moving sort of Trossard centrally, yes, it might make the centre sort of better than if Marino is in there. But what we lose on the left, is it worth it risking putting that in the middle would be my only sort of drawback to that.
Yeah, and I mean, if we look at the Spurs injuries, they've got quite a lengthy list in terms of long term. So James Maddison is obviously out, Dominic Solanke's out, Dejan Kulusevski's out, Pat Matasar is a new one who's had a knock, so he may not make the game, and he's actually a big presence for them in the midfield. He's done very well this season. Ben Davies is out, Dragusin is out, Archie Gray may not make it, Lucas Bergval will, Mohamed Kudus, Randall Colomboani should make it, and Christian Romero should make it. I think Spurs will be stronger than we are if we look overall in terms of they'll have a lot more of their first team there. But how do you see this game going, Joe? Is it going to be, as you said, a deep tactical, Tottenham will go deep block and we're going to have to break them down? Or do you think they're going to do what they did in the preseason, which is a lot of transitional, they're going to play for the transition, try and hit us on the break and, you know, sucker punch us, if we call it that?
Yeah, I think the two styles of play you've mentioned there, Yem, are very similar. I think one is just they're both got the same sort of concept. They both turn the game on Arsenal very quickly. Whether they do that from sort of like a high pressing situation or a low block, we'll have to wait and see. But I think we know that they will be very solid, they'll be very compact, and they'll look to hit us quickly. Whether that comes from, like I said, from a deeper position or higher up the pitch, we'll have to wait and see. Um, but I think we can kind of, within reason, predict what Spurs are going to do. I mean, these fixtures, we've said it many times before, that form goes out the window. It's that old cliche of whatever
Mm,
you've seen happen in recent weeks, whatever's gone on, crazy things happen in this game. This game is, I believe, the highest
yeah.
scoring game in Premier League history. Um,
Yeah.
just because it's a mad fixture. You've seen mad goals, mad moments, 4-4s, 5-3s, 5-1s. The Spurs,
I
to
don't
be
want
fair,
that. Joe, I don't want that. I can't handle that this weekend. I need
no,
something,
I don't think
standard
we're that
Arsenal
side
win.
anymore, Yem, to be honest. I don't think we're that team who does that anymore. I think, if anything, this will be a cagier affair than usual, but it's still a North London derby. We could potentially just see something we've not seen from an Arsenal team this season. We could see Spurs do something mad. Like, it's just the fixture. It's what happens, and that is what going back to obviously our discussion at the start of the show, that's what drives the fear and the up and down emotions, is because you just don't know what's going to happen in this game.
So let's look at it then. What's your team lineup then, Joe? What are you predicting? Because we've got a problem on the left side of defence. Because if Calafiori and Gabriel's out, that's pretty much then well, you've got an option there. But how do you see us lining up? So go on, give us your lineup.
Is this my lineup or what Arteta will go with?
Go with your one and what Arteta will do. Go first with
Okay,
your what you'd
so
like to see and what Arteta will do.
personally, I go with Raya, Timber, Saliba. Gabriel's obviously out. Calafiori, I think, might make the game. I think that Arteta might be being a bit coy and just sort of saying, and maybe he was just tired for Italy and running a bit of fatigue. And with a week off, he might be okay. There's been no mention of an actual injury, not even from the Italy sort of setup. So I think you Calafiori will probably start. And personally, I would prefer to see Hincapié play in that left centre back role with Calafiori at left back, just because his range of passing is very good by all accounts from sort of what we've been told and what we've seen briefly. And I just think having that balance with a right-sided or right-footed sort of central defender playing on the right and a left-footed central defender playing on the left, I just really like the balance and the what it can give you in terms of passing lanes and that sort of stuff. So I would prefer to see Hincapié starting there. Um, Mosquera's been brilliant, don't get me wrong. If he starts, which I think Arteta probably will start Mosquera over anyone else, because obviously we've seen him playing more fixtures, that's not a problem. Personal preference is, just like I said, that left-footed centre half. And obviously the experience of Hincapié, I know he's not played a lot for us, but he won the league in Germany, Ecuador captain. I just think that kind of, this fixture might be ideal for that kind of South American gritty sort of defender. And Gabriel could give me in his ear and sort of tell him what it's all about. And I think he'd love that. I think he'd relish the chance to play in it. Going into midfield,
Can you
personally, I
imagine
think
Romero, just highlight that, Romero versus Hincapié.
that'd
That
be
could
great.
be a red card cauldron. That'd be a red card cauldron because you don't know who's going to be madder at
It'd be
the
great, mate.
Ecuador versus Argentina.
It should be like ice hockey. Ref should just blow the whistle, let them have a punch up. Right, we're all calm down again. Off we go.
Yeah, just
Um,
no, very true.
midfield
Sorry to
wise,
interrupt you. Go on. Go
yeah,
on.
it's fine, mate. I think midfield, I'd want to see Rice, Zubamendi, and Eze for me. Eze obviously playing the further forward role. Rice in the 8 and Zubamendi just in that deep line playmaker role that he's done so well in. And then the front three, I think it'll be Saka, Trossard, and I think it'll be Marino, to be honest. Just because we're so short on attacking options. I mean, if there was someone else available, like a Martinelli, someone like that, I'd be quite happy to see Martinelli go through the middle with Trossard off the left. Just for that pace, just to keep Romero and Van der Ven occupied. But I think that'd be my team. I think the only real question marks is how fit is Martin Odegaard? Will he come in? And what will be kind of the situation at left back with Calafiori and the centre half position with Gabriel? I think Mosquera will come in, and if that is the case, it will then be interesting to see whether he goes Hincapié or MLS at left back if Calafiori's out.
Okay.
Options. What do you think? What's yours?
So what I would want to have is Raya, Timber, Saliba, Hincapié, and Miles Lewis Skelly, because then that gives you that nice balance. If Calafiori is out, and I think he will be, I can't see them being risked because Hincapié's had enough time now. He's
Mm.
match fit. He's played a few games and he knows what's there. MLS is absolute quality. And I think his inverting and midfield runs in actually would benefit here, because I think if Pat Matsar is out, then having someone like MLS go against Bentancur, Palhinha could draw them into those fouls, because Palhinha, Bentancur are just going to sit deep. That's their job. That's all they're going to do. Midfield for me, I think the midfield speaks for itself. It's going to be Eze, Rice, Erdegaard, Rice and Zubamendi. I think Erdegaard may be on the bench, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's an urgency. Last season, when he came back, we stuck him straight away into the Chelsea game, and that was a bad move because he looked very poor after that because he'd obviously rushed back. And then the front three, I think, is all you can have, isn't it? It's Saka, Trossard, and Marino up front. But the interesting one will be that left side of the defence, how we play that, because
Mm.
you've got a lot of options there. Mascara, as well, as you said, done nothing wrong when he's come in, and I think he could be thrown into this game and he'd do very well against someone like a Randall Kolo Muani, who I think is a very rangy striker who very savvy, but I think Mosquera's done so well. And I love his interview this week where he said it was only Arsenal. It was only ever Arsenal. So it'll be interesting to see how Arteta puts this together because it's a NLDs are must wins for me personally. I couldn't take a draw out of this one, especially at home.
Mm.
I think when you get a draw out of these NLDs, you feel a bit flat, don't you? You
Mm.
know, it's not what we need right now is wins. You know, the draw against Sunderland, as we said, not ideal. It's fine, but you don't want to go into this period now where we're with a draw or a loss, especially against your great rivals. Um, so Joe, we're going to come to our predictions in a few minutes, but let's talk a bit about your favourite memories of the North London derby. So, what's your top memory of the North London derby? What do you? It doesn't need to be a win. It'd be just a moment, something
No.
different. What would you say is your
Ooh, you've sprung this upon me, Yen. Um, my favourite. Do you know what? I would probably go with. It's probably a very sort of cliche one, but the Henri goal where he just ran from the edge of our box. Um,
Hmm.
that as a young kid sat at Highbury, I'd never seen a goal like that in my life, and just watching him run for the length of the pitch,
where he took up that
striding
opportunity?
away from people, it was unreal, mate. So that's up there. I mean, the guy was it. Was it at Highbury again? Was it Henri in sort of the early 2000s? Was it Chris Perry, the defender? I think he just
Yeah, yeah.
fucking dumped him on the floor and rolled the ball in the back of the net. That was another early memory for me. Again, Highbury going to White Hart Lane for the game where Adebayor and Cesc scored those two worldy goals. I was actually sat in the Spurs end for that game, so that was very hard work. But that was a great memory.
That's dangerous.
It was a great memory. I remember one of my Spurs mates had a ticket. He's like, "Oh, fancy coming?" I was like, "Too right, I do." So that was fun, sitting behind enemy lines and trying not to get killed by sort of not celebrating goals and whatnot. That was good. Um, but yeah, I think for me, the standout is that Henri moment at Highbury because when you mention North London Derby, that's what my brain goes straight to, just that moment. Because, like I said, as a kid, seeing that for me, what was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that in my life. Someone just looking so supreme compared to everyone else on the pitch. It was a special moment. That will stick
Mm.
with me for a long time because he then done the celebration, run back, knee slid right in front of me because we used to sit next to the Spurs fans or the away fans. Sorry, done the knee slide right in front of us. Look over, you see all the Spurs fans giving him grief, and he's just loving it. And it was fantastic, mate. What about you?
So the Thierry moment does stand out, but for me, actually, it's something that Henri said in one of his videos, especially for Arsenal. It was when we won the title at White Hart Lane. Now, we didn't win the game. We should have won the game because we absolutely
Mm,
dominated. But they came back to 2-2. It ended up 2-2, and they scored a last-minute penalty, and they celebrated like it was they had won the title.
mm,
And it just showed the level of that club because which club had won the title at that moment? We had. It was the difference. It just showed the gap. And you know, they've said, oh, the gap's closed and all that. Yes, it may have. But Tottenham will always be that club that also rans, whereas we've been genuine title winners. And that game just showed it. And Henri said it right. You're celebrating like it's like the World Cup has been won or something. We are celebrating because we've won the title. There's the difference. You've
mm,
won nothing. You've drawn a game against us. We've won the title, and it just showed the levels of which team was undoubtedly more better at that point, and we're still
mm,
better. You know, they may have closed the gap and they may have had a few bits and pieces, but they'll never be as good as we are, and that's just proven by records. It's an undeniable fact. But,
Yeah.
like the Henri one, I think there's been some, really good results for us over the years. Even last season, obviously we beat them 2-1 at the Emirates. That was a good result. Beat them at their ground. I think our results actually have been pretty good for the last, except for 2023. It was just 2-2 at the Emirates. I
Mm.
honestly hope that's not the case tomorrow. If it's a draw on Sunday, I
I
think
will forever remember that
it's
as the
not
Jorginho
a
game. Came off the bench, gave him a goal, and
joy.
just, oh, awful.
Yeah,
Shocker.
lit awful, awful. It was a shocker, but actually our record has been pretty decent up till then in terms of we've beaten them pretty well,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
those kind of respects. But
Spurs had a
yeah,
bit of a run for a few years, didn't they? Where they was when they had sort of Bale, Van der Vaart, Modric, like all these unbelievable players. They had their little spell where I would argue, they
yeah,
had a better sort of team than we did. Obviously, getting to the Champions League final and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, but they had nothing to show for it, and that's my big concern with this team is that I don't want to fall into that Spurs trap of having an outstanding team but having nothing to show for it. We've got to
yeah.
win something.
This
Otherwise, as
Yeah,
harsh as it sounds, mate, we are as bad as Spurs because you can have a great team of players, but if you don't win anything, what's the point? And that's why these
yeah,
players need to go and get a trophy because they're better than that, and they need to go and sort of earn them that
yeah,
legend status, if you like, that will come with winning a trophy, especially one of the big ones.
yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So, Joe, let's get into it. We're gonna make our predictions now, but obviously it's the predictors game. So, Joe, I'm gonna hand it over to you as always. Take it away.
We are back. We are back for the predictors game. The supercomputer is being blasted up, and we're back for another week of fixtures. We ran through them quickly at the start, didn't we? And we both had 30 points last week. Um, I got a correct
Yeah, we did
score.
okay. We did okay.
Yeah, it was probably the best week we both had, mate. To be fair, I got the correct score for the Spurs United game, which was mad because obviously going into the end of that one, it looked like it was done and dusted. Um,
You could not have predicted that. Look, you may have said it, but you could not have predicted how that
what
game
can
would
I
have
say, mate?
gone in terms
I
of
can see the
last
future.
minute.
It just, yeah,
Of
it was
course,
a
you saw that
mad,
Sunderland result coming. None of us saw that.
yeah, it was a
None of
mad
us
end to
saw
the
that
game. But
Sunderland game coming as well.
you had the um, Chelsea Wolves correct score as well. So we did all right, mate. Four kind of correct results and the correct scoreline each. So we did all right. But yeah, let's get going. We have the first game of the weekend is Burnley at home to Chelsea.
Burnley do all right actually at Turf Moor, but I just think Chelsea, one of these teams who can get this kind of odd result here and there, and they did well against obviously Tottenham in the last game. I think Chelsea will get a win here. I think it's going to be a 2-1 to Chelsea, so 1-2. Starting off strong with my go-to result.
Do you know what? For those of you watching on YouTube, and Yen, when you watch this back, you'll see my head go down to the laptop before you even start talking. And that was me typing in 2-1.
'Cause you knew I was gonna say it,
I
didn't you?
knew it was coming, mate. Um,
Predictable.
Chelsea have just lost Cole Palmer for a couple of weeks, haven't they? Because he's fallen over at home or something.
But they haven't
Uh,
had him for a while, have they? They haven't had they he stubbed his toe. Look, let's call it what he was. He bottled the Arsenal game because he always does.
yeah, we've been quite fortunate, haven't we? He's missed quite a few of the games we've played against them recently. But in terms
We
of
haven't
Burnley
been fortunate.
Chelsea,
He just doesn't want to.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Chelsea. I just after we
Okay. You don't think Burnley score?
the game that we had against Burnley, I know we're kind of a level above Chelsea, but I didn't see much from Burnley in an attacking sense there. So I expect Chelsea to
Okay,
kind of have
fair
a
enough.
comfortable win there. Bournemouth at home to West Ham.
Bournemouth lost 2 in a row, which was very
Yeah.
really surprising. Obviously, the Man City result wasn't surprising, but the nature of it was. But then to lose it against, Crystal Palace was it Crystal no, who did they lose against? Aston Villa,
Hmm.
4-0. I still think they'll have enough against this West Ham side. I think West Ham are better now, but they're not amazing. I think Bournemouth will win it 2-0.
2-0.
I was gonna say 2-1, but then you stopped me when you
I
I
could
saw that
see it
smug look on
coming,
your
mate.
face
I
saying
could
he's
see
gonna
it
go
coming.
2-1. I just held myself back. No, no, not too.
I think similar to you, I think Bournemouth will be too strong for West Ham. I know they've had a couple of bad results. West Ham have been doing a bit better, but I still expect the quality to show through here. So I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think someone like Jared Bowen could maybe nick one, but yeah, I'd expect Bournemouth to be too strong for West Ham. Brighton against Brentford.
I think this is going to be a draw because I think both sides are equally as good and bad, if you get my meaning. I think 2-2.
Nice. Yeah. I can see that being a draw as well. I think this could be a Brighton win. Brentford at home are a different animal to Brentford away, I feel. Brighton at home are quite
Okay.
strong. Danny Welbeck carrying on the form of his life. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Brighton win with another Welbs goal. Fulham and Sunderland.
If this was a Stadium of Light, I would have said Sunderland win this one. I think this is a 2. Well, I don't want to say 1, but in my mind's saying 2-1. It's a 2-1. I can't help it. It's a 2-1. Fulham.
I think this could be a Sunderland win. I think they're playing really well, and I don't think Fulham have been in the best of
Really?
form. I think Sunderland's doing really well.
Okay.
If they can continue what they was doing before the international break, I think they could get the 3 points. So I'm going to go for a 2-1, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Sunderland. 2-1 away win, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Liverpool at home to Forest.
2-0 Liverpool. I think Nottingham Forest are okay, but Liverpool, I think, will just have a bit too much quality against Nottingham Forest. I think they'll struggle.
Yeah, similar to you, mate. I've gone 3-0 just for the exact same reasons. I think that'd be too strong for them. Wolves at home to Palace.
Rob Edwards' first game in charge. Will the new manager bounce take flight? I don't think so. I think Wolves are still destined for the drop. I am going to go with the Crystal Palace 2-0 because I think Crystal Palace are a very good team. I think
2-0 away win, yeah. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Palace win. You might see a bit of improvement with Wolves. I think Palace have been really good under Glasner. They're having a really good season. I don't think the
yeah.
Wolves' defence will cope with Mateta very well. So I could see that being a bit of a mismatch there. Late one on Saturday, big game. Newcastle at home to City.
I'm going to go bold here.
Oh,
I'm going to go with
2-1
a
is it?
Newcastle 2-1 win. Yes, it is. You know it.
Even your bold results are predictable, yeah.
Hey. 2-1. It's got to be. It's got to be done. I believe in Newcastle. I believe in the dirtiness of Newcastle. Come on, Newcastle. Don't let me down on this one. Do it
I,
dirty. Do it real
I'm
dirty. I want to see some tackles on Haaland. I want to see some big tackles on Haaland. I want
wish,
Dan Burn to
wish it into
literally
existence.
steamroller through. Haaland will score. I think Haaland will score. The robot's inevitable. He's just going to. They're going to turn him on. They're going to bring him out of stasis like the Terminator, and he's going to score because he usually does.
I, this is one of them fixtures. I might be completely wrong here, and this might be something that I've just sort of imagined into existence. But I feel like Man City always do well at Newcastle. I feel like they always
Oh, for God's sake,
nick a
don't.
result. Like I remember, like people like Yaya Toure scoring late goals there, Kevin De Bruyne stepping up scoring late goals. Just all the for some reason I just couldn't. I might be completely wrong. They might not have won there in 5 years, but I've imagined all this. But they just seem to always kind of do all right up there. So annoyingly, I think this is going to be a 2-1 win again, but for Man City. I think. I
Oh,
think
for God's sake.
Walter or
But this is where
Gordon
it
will
could
score
swing. This
for
is where it could
Newcastle.
swing.
But
This is
then
where this is
I
where
just
it could
think
swing, isn't it?
Haaland's just inevitable, mate. He's just been so good. And like I said, in my mind, it could be completely wrong, but I feel like City always do well at Newcastle, which will put a bit of pressure on us. But Leeds and Villa.
I think Aston Villa have come back into form, but Ellen Road, Leeds. I think this is going to be, obviously this is an interesting one. I think a 1-1.
Yeah, Leeds have been good at home. Villa have been getting a good bit of form away from home. Sorry, in the last few games, Villa have been a lot better. Um,
Yeah.
this is a difficult one because this is one of those games where anything could happen. I think this could literally be any result, and it wouldn't be outrageous.
Mm.
I'm going to go on the side of a Villa win, and I'm going to go for a.
Say
I'm going to go
2-1.
for an.
You want to say 2-1.
I'm intentionally going to go for a 2-0 to Villa just because I can't say your result more than. Oh, I already have done.
Your heart wants to say 2-1. You don't.
The big one, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur.
Do you need to ask my result, Joe? You already know what I'm going to say.
I shall begin typing.
Write it down. 2 to the Arsenal. 2-1 to the Arsenal.
I am going to go. If
Say
Gabriel was
it.
playing, I
Say it,
was.
Joe.
If Gabriel was playing, I'd be so confident of a clean sheet. I am going to stick with my clean sheet confidence, and I, sir, am going to go
Ooh.
for a 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Ooh, that's brave in a North London derby because you know
Coming
how
back from
they
an
get it.
international break, I think both teams. It's going to be a bit iffy getting going. I think because both teams will be finding their feet after obviously the break, so it might not be the prettiest game on the eye. But yeah, I can see a 1-0, 1-0 to
Is
the
there going to
Arsenal.
be? Is there going to be a red card? Is there going to be a red card in this one? Is it any
Is this
red
for a
cards? Do
bonus
you think?
bonus 5 points?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go for bonus. It's the
Okay,
bonus round. I think
right,
it's going to be a red
bonus. Do
card.
you think there's going to be a red, Yen?
Yes,
Okay, 5 points for a red, 10 points if you can tell me who's going to get it.
Romero. Love a bit of that.
Okay,
I think it's going to be a Romero special.
so you think 2-1 and a red card for Romero?
Yep.
Okay. What outlandish bet could I make? What could we do? Or should I just go for? Is there going to be a red card in this one? I don't know. They've kind of moved away a bit from that spiky sort of game. It's become a bit more of a love-in recently. Um, I'll tell you what. I'll have a little think whilst you mull over Man United versus Everton.
Where is it? I think Man United will win this one actually because I think Everton away from home are pretty poor actually. At the Hill Dickinson they look all right, but I think at the at away from home they've been pretty poor. I'm going to go with a 2-0 to Man United actually.
2-0 United. Yeah, similar. Mate. I think United have been on a good bit of form, got a bit of confidence back. I don't really see Everton getting many goals. To be honest, they're struggling a bit.
Not
Um,
away.
in-
At home they seem better.
yeah, agreed. I think United could win this quite comfortably, so I'll go 3-0 just so I don't match your score. And in terms of a red card in the
Okay.
Arsenal Tottenham game, I'm going to go that there'll be a red card for. I'll tell you what, because we spoke at the start, I'll go for a red card for Hincapié if he plays.
Oh my God! Why are you doing this to us, Joe?
But keep it interesting, Yem. I've still predicted we'll win, even with 10 men. I think we'll get the win. But could that South American bust up in the area, could that come back to rule the roost, if you like?
The Buster.
So yeah, results are in, mate. A
We'll
huge
wait
game.
and see for the South American.
Realistically, nobody cares about 9 of those score lines this weekend. If you give me,
I know
if I get
it's
10 points this weekend and that's the one result I get right, I'll be more than happy.
so will I. It depends. Obviously by our next show we will find out how
Yeah,
happy
exactly.
we are. If actually. So just a little side note. So this is something that I'm going to try and do on the Sunday. So we're going to be meeting a few people, and I thought I'd do a little vlog. So just check out our TikTok page. Going to try a little vlog of the day. Going to see if we meet Joe as well because we've got different routines, etc. We're going to try
Mm.
and meet up to just recall what the NLD day is like. It's a big one. You're just feeling it, and we've got a couple of friends, like Dan, George, Rohan, those kind of guys that we're meeting up with. So I want to just do a little vlog. So just watch out for that on the TikTok page if you're going to be having a look on socials on that day. But Joe, that's it. Next time it will be our post-match review of the NLD. Let us pray that
Next time we see each
we
other,
are
yeah,
talking
will be
positively.
Sunday. Well, Sunday early afternoon.
Early afternoon, we will
I
meet each
already feel
other
very
hopefully before the
uncomfortable about
game,
it.
and we will be. As well. Do you know what? Now we've talking about it, I'm starting to get butterflies in the stomach. I don't like it either. But
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, this stupid game. It should just get rid of it. It just
I
drives you
know.
up
Do you know
the
what? If it was
wall.
on TV, I would not be what. I would be literally just pacing throughout. You know how I've done it. You've seen me. We've watched football together. I pace throughout, and I can't stand it. But we're going to be there. We're going to see what happens. We're obviously going to do a post-match review. But for now, thank you very much, Joe. Glad to have you back.
Pleasure,
And
pleasure to be back. And
let's
like I
hope
said,
for a
next
great
time
result.
I will make sure I'm more set up, and hopefully with some internet, which would come in really handy. But yeah, we'll be there. See you on Sunday, my friend.
That would be very handy. That would be. See you on Sunday, my friends. For everyone who's listening and watching, thank you very much for listening to our content or watching the content. If you do like it, please do consider subscribing to us on all the audio platforms, YouTube. It greatly helps. But for now, look out for the half spaces. I can't remember the catchphrase. He's given me a catchphrase and I completely forgot it. Oh, no.
Yeah, what have you
Oh,
done?
no. Oh,
What have you
Alex, what have you
done?
done to me?
Should we blame
Always
it on
look
the
between the
international
lines and
break?
watch out for the half spaces. We'll catch you later. No, I got it. Watch out for the half. Always watch the lines and watch out for the half spaces. We'll get this right somehow.
There's a
Thank you
car
very
crash.
much
Stop
for
the pod.
listening. We'll
Stop the
catch you on
pod.
end the stream now, Dave. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.